There we go. All right, so if I went back over the last 3 days, here's what we've talked about so far. On Wednesday, we talked about circle prospecting and open houses, and these are on YouTube. So if you missed them, you can always go back and watch. If you're not sure where to find my YouTube channel, it's just John Dietz. So we talked about circle prospecting and open houses and what I would do if I were you and I were in production today, what I would do to hit my monthly standard for seller listings taken. And I shared how you could use circle prospecting and how you could use open houses in order to hit these numbers. And then, and then yesterday we talked about focus. Today we're going to talk about thinking big. And what's kind of interesting is if you want to reverse the role, everything starts with thinking big. So thinking big would be first, then focus, and then here's what you could do to build a really big real estate business. All right, I'm going to share some thoughts with you from The One Thing written by Gary Keller, and then I'm going to go to the whiteboard. All right. No one knows their ultimate ceiling. So if I were to ask you, what are you capable of? Great job there, Becky. Love that. What are you capable of? The next question would be, how do you know? The next question would be, have you hit your ceiling or is there more? And the ultimate truth is no one truly knows what their ultimate ceiling is. And are we settling for less than we're capable of? Are we settling for good when great is still an option? Are we settling for great when the best is still an option? Going big, thinking big is essential to extraordinary results. Pay really close attention to words. Thinking big is essential to extraordinary results, which means unless you can start by thinking big, you're going to be very limited in what you're able to accomplish. Success requires action, and action requires thought. So what comes first, the action or the thought? Interesting question, because I would tell you it depends. Thinking big is required in order to take big actions, and sometimes you're not going to do it and you're not going to feel like doing it until you actually get into action. So sometimes action comes first. The only actions that become springboards to succeeding big are those informed by big thinking to begin with. You need to write this down. You need to put it someplace where you can see it, where you're working and you're looking at this every day. It's in my journal. I'm looking at it. It's on my calendar. It's sitting on my desk, which is right there. And it's the only actions that become springboards. The only actions that become springboards to succeeding big are those informed by thinking big to begin with. You got to think big first in order to take big actions that lead to big results. Everyone has the same amount of time, and hard work is simply hard work. As a result, what you do in the time you work determines what you achieve. And since what you do is determined by what you think, how big you think becomes the launching pad for how high you achieve. All right, one more, and then we're going to go to the whiteboard. What you build today will either empower or restrict you tomorrow. All right, so here's how I see success. And I'm super visual, so when I start talking about these things, I like to draw pictures. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so we're going to start with a model. Everybody can see that? Yeah, okay. And we all go through different stages of success. It starts down here, and this is survival. We are just trying to keep our head above water. We are doing everything we can to survive. Now, we've all been there. And here's the thing about success is you can move from survival to stability to success, and you can find yourself living in success and go through a change in your life, whether it was your choice or not your choice, and find yourself back in survival again. You're either in adversity, heading for adversity, or coming out of adversity. It's part of being on this planet. And we all start in survival. Now, from survival, we move to stability. Stability means that we're paying our bills and we have a little bit of money left over. Stability. We are paying our bills and we have a little bit of money left over. Maybe we're going on vacation. Maybe we're doing just something a little bit extra, but it's just stable. We're in stability. Now we move from stability to success. And most people get stuck here. Most people stop right here. I'm successful, I'm happy, I'm comfortable, I'm living a good life, I'm paying my bills, I have a nice home, I'm going on vacations, I'm making good money, I'm happy. One of the most common responses I get when I'm talking to real estate agents, and I'm a trainer, coach, and recruiter. So part of what I do is I have recruiting conversations. And one of the most common things I hear is, I'm happy. And I was having a conversation with a real estate agent yesterday afternoon. She's a rock star. She is absolutely living life right here, right? And she's telling me she's happy and telling me why she's happy. And I asked her, I said, don't be offended, but is it okay if I ask you a question? She said, yeah, sure, go ahead. And I said, is it possible that you're mistaking happy with comfortable? Is it possible that you're not really happy, meaning there's more, but I'm comfortable? There's better, but I'm comfortable. In order to get to better, I have to get to different, which is uncomfortable. So I'm going to stay right here in comfortable, which, by the way, don't get me wrong. That's completely okay if that's what you've decided. If that's what you want, then awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. Now, there's another level of success above success as we continue to grow. And I would say not everybody makes this next leap. Probably few people do. And it's significance. Significance is when we go from living a successful life to helping others live a successful life. We go from living an amazing life to being the reason that somebody else is living an amazing life. And then the final step on this journey is legacy. Now, I don't know if it's age. I don't know if it's life circumstances. I don't. And I can tell you, this is where I am. This is the only thing that matters to me. After 40 years of being in business, as a salesperson, as a real estate agent, as a speaker, trainer, coach, as a recruiter, as a team builder, I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm looking at life. I'm 60 years old. I'm looking at the next 10 years. It's my last 10 years. And this is my one last opportunity to create legacy. This is no longer okay because this stops when I stop. If anything were to happen to me today and I can no longer work, or God decides it's time to call me home and I'm no longer here, what am I leaving for those who are behind me? And the answer is nothing. It's nothing until I get here. Legacy. So legacy is about creating generational wealth for those that you leave behind. Legacy is also about making a difference in other people's lives who make a difference in other people's lives who make a difference in other people's lives. Legacy shows up long after you're gone. I won't truly know what kind of legacy I've created until I'm gone. It won't show up. And I know that when we're truly changing lives, we are making a difference in the lives of those who are not even born yet. Think about the butterfly effect for a moment. The idea behind the butterfly effect is a butterfly can flap its wings on the coast of Africa and set in motion molecules as they go across the Atlantic Ocean, end up being a hurricane on the east coast of the United States. So what are you doing today that is a butterfly effect in somebody else's lives? You'll never know until you're willing to get out of this and move to this. Now, going from success to legacy involves risk. Sometimes it involves great risk. If you've ever played poker, and I have, that's another day, we'll talk about that. And you have chips in front of you. There's a thing called going all in. Now, going all in means that you're putting all of your chips in front of you on the bet. In other words, you got a great hand. You think you've got everybody at the table beat, so you're going to go all in. Now, you're either going to win big or you're going to lose everything. It's not win big or lose big. It's win big or lose everything. When I made a decision to move back to Palm Harbor and to begin a new journey in my professional career at the age of 60 and walk away from comfort, walk away from safety, take a big chance, I went all in. And it's scary. When you go from success to significance to legacy, it's going to create fear. You will face fear. And it's a good thing, because if you're not facing fear, then you're not thinking big. If you make a change that it doesn't cause fear, paralyzing fear, I'm not talking about I'm a little bit of afraid of a dog that's barking at me. I'm talking about massive fear. If it doesn't create massive fear, you're not thinking big enough. How big can you think? What's your ceiling? How do you know? Have you hit your ceiling? How do you know? Where do you want your life to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now? What do you want the world to look like when you're no longer here? You have to start. You have to start here when you're at the so that's the beginning of the journey. And you have to start by thinking big. You have to think like this before you can take the journey to get there. If you can't start out by thinking like this, then you'll never take the massive action that it takes to get there. Now, I'm going to close with this. If you've been a part of my call for the last 3 years, you've heard me say many, many times that we are on a journey with a destination that is assured. We are on a journey with a destination that is assured, which means looking at this same diagram here, this is the start, that's the finish line. And when we're on a journey, we see linear. In other words, we see time based on what's right in front of us. I can't see past the next couple seconds. I don't know what's going to happen this afternoon, tomorrow, or the next day. But here's the really cool thing. I want you to stop, slow down for a moment and think about this. If we could see time the way God sees time, the same yesterday, today, and forever, omnipresent, omnipotent, everywhere at the same time, then we're at the beginning of time and we're at the destination at the same time. In other words, in his eyes, to be on a journey with a destination that is assured means you're already there. I'll think about that. All right, take yourself off mute, talk to me.
Love it when you start preaching, John.
That's who I am. I think God meant for me to be a pastor. Anybody know a church that's looking? All right. Thanks, Clarissa. Clarissa, how you doing? Clarissa's in Fort Lauderdale. Is your house dry?
Oh, yeah. Well, Coconut Coral Springs, we have great drainage systems. So we didn't get all that water. But where my daughter is down in Fort Lauderdale, it's a hot mess.
You okay?
Yeah, she's good.
Good to hear it. Yeah, my daughter's at FAU, right? And FAU has all these alerts that come out every time something happens. And my phone was just buzzing. I'm like, what is going on?